Hello and welcome to Warhammer Wednesday here on Paladin Gaming. We just wrapped up Space Marine, so to fill this week while I figure out my next video game project, we are going to do a quick review on some terrain that I just got in. This is the TinkerTurf. This is the TinkerTurf line from Tinkerhouse Games. I backed their Kickstarter last year, and after some shipping delays due to the pandemic, it finally came in, and I've spent the last week building. This is pre-printed, made out of 2mm punch board. Cadian snipers for scale. And as you can see, they have some. The ComSat array there makes a very impressive centerpiece. It's 16 inches tall. And there are containers, and walls, which are about the only solid line of sight blockers in the thing. This would be great terrain for Kill Team or Infinity. For Warhammer 40k, which is the primary purpose for which I bought it, it's not ideal, but it'll serve. So this all goes together very quickly. I've built after building a couple of containers and crates, I've gotten to the point where I can knock one together in 5 or 10 minutes. And of course the satellite dish was really fiddly, but it was worth all the work. This free spins, and the whole thing is modular. The legs are not glued on. I can break this down fairly flat. So we have containers, a bunker, and the perimeter wall built. And there is more stuff yet. So for the second part of this video, I am going to break open a kit and we will show you how this stuff goes together. Alright, so we are here going to start building a TinkerTurf set. We'll just do a first part just to get you an idea of how this goes together. Now I have several options left. I have more tanker and crate containers. I have guard towers. I have another perimeter wall, but I have built all of those already. I just have more copies of them because they're good and useful things to have. But we're going to build something new that's not on the table yet: the maglev rail. So it's a hefty kit. So we are going to cut this open and get going. And the reason I am sitting in front of my computer rather than at the big dining room table, which is otherwise a better build area, is because the instructions are posted on their website rather than printed in the package, which is both good and bad. It's bad because you need to be at a computer to read it. But good in that it allows them to update the instructions, which they need to do in a few cases. I've run into some mislabeled parts in the instructions already, so I'm actually compiling a list as I go to send to them. So, we're going to start on the maglev rail. Step 1. Glue and clamp A2 to A3 as shown to create a foot base. So here is A3 and here is A2. Now we can see on these that one of them has a bunch of glue marks and the other one has targets. You're supposed to match the glue marks to the targets. Several pieces, you gotta watch out for this. Several pieces will have slots that you need to punch out. And we'll use some of this here PVA glue to, it doesn't take a lot, just a dot on each spot there. And we match the targets to the glue spots. There's also a guide, now that you can see the pieces are not the same size, fortunately there's also guidelines to center the thing. So we do that, and then we clamp them down. What did I do with my clamps? Alright, here they are, and we clamp them down. I'm using these here. They recommend using these mini spring clamps that Bora makes because they'll hold it in place, but they're gentle enough that they will not damage the printing surface. So we clamp that and let it dry. And move on to and while that's drying, we'll move on to the next stage if we can. We can't because it involves that, so we will let this dry and resume momentarily. So this hasn't entirely set yet, but it is set well enough for our purposes. So for step 2, we are looking for piece A4 and 2 copies of C4. While we were waiting, I dug out a copy of sheet C, and we will take 2 of these, and we glue glue these together as illustrated in the instructions, and that will complete a foot assembly for the train track. Alright, and there we have a completed foot assembly for the train track. Next we'll put together some tracks. Alright, our support is about dry, and I put together another one off camera. So now we're going to do the rails. So we glue and clamp B1 and B2 as shown in the instructions to create a straight top rail assembly. Note that B1 here has hollows in it, so you have to punch out those center pieces or it will not go together right. So again, there's guide marks, there's glue dots there, and we line them up with the target piece. Aligning carefully. And there we are, and we put a clamp at each end to hold it in place while it dries. Okay, our next step is to build support assemblies for the rail. So we glue pieces A1 and A5. A1 here has score marks on it, and it is folded up like this. And A1 slots right into it. So we'll glue that in like that, and then we'll do another one just like it, and those will be our support assemblies. Alright, our support assemblies are reasonably dry, so now we glue these onto the rail. And the bottom rail piece is also scored so it folds down, and the 2 folds slot right into these slots here. Just like that. And we'll do the same for the other one on the other end. And with those steps complete, we have completed a rail segment. So this tab fits into this slot, and you shouldn't glue it down. This is designed to be broken down for easy storage. So there it is. So there is a maglev rail segment, and this, as you can see, this kit makes quite a few of those. And even though this is all 2mm chipboard, with all the gluing together layers and folding, it's actually really strong. Here's my 6th edition Warhammer 40k rulebook. Balance that right on top. No issues. The containers are even stronger than that. I don't want to test the rail too much because this is the very first one I put together and I haven't tried it yet. But the industrial platforms will hold a lot of weight, and this stuff is generally very sturdy. And here we have the completed maglev rail starter. So it stretches all the way across my desk, almost to the end there. There are 2 curved sections, 5 straight sections, and a rail switch that actually sits on that track and kinda free spins. I probably put it together a little crooked because there's a couple catches in it. It also includes this little switch booth. And the control panel sits in there loose, and I'm not going to flip it over now, but it's a little fiddly. But the control panel sits in there loose, and the other side is a red lockout screen. So intended for like objectives and so forth. So that is the complete rail switch. That is a complete rail set. It also has 3 flatbed cars. The containers sit easily on them. Here, I'll get one and we'll put it on this here flatbed. There you go. It kind of sits into the little hollow in the middle of the bed. So that is it for the rails. We have one more thing to show you, and then we'll wrap this up. All right, and one last thing about the sets that I forgot to do in the first segment. Those ladders, as you may notice, since the entire assembly of the ComSat array is 16 inches tall, those ladders are too tall for most infantry units in 40K to cover in one movement phase. So they include in every kit that has ladders one of these little hooks for every ladder in the kit, and it hooks onto the ladder and allows you to place onto any rung and have your infantry model climb as far as it can, and then hang out on the ladder. Which is part of why this would be great for Kill Team or Infinity. Like, that kind of little detail isn't really worth it for 40K, but it is a nice little feature. Also, on the ComSat array in particular, those platforms are not fixed to the ladder. They can come out and be placed into slots all up and down the thing. So that is that for the TinkerTurf set from Tinkerhouse Games. This is a relatively inexpensive as terrain goes, especially against Games Workshop's prices. I did pay a little more for this than I did for the Archon Studios Rampart sets that I reviewed a couple of months ago. But I'm glad to have paid that little more to avoid the hassle of painting scads and scads of terrain, because right now I'm also going through the process of painting the Rampart terrain, and it is an hours and hours long process. So anyway, that is that for this Warhammer Wednesday. I'm hustling through putting this together because I am running a prep tournament on May 21st for the Rocky Top Rumble Super Major in Knoxville, Tennessee, that's happening on Memorial Day weekend. So in the video description, I will put the Best Coast Pairings link for my prep tourney. If you're local, I'd be glad for you to attend, and this terrain will be on the tables. And also a link to the Rocky Top Rumble. Our first prize for the prep tournament is a free entry for the winner into the Rocky Top Rumble Super Major, which normally sells for $125. So if you are interested in attending the Rocky Top Game Convention, and think you have a shot at winning a local 40K RTT, we'd be glad to have you. So the links for all that will be in the description. That'll be that for this Warhammer Wednesday. The Emperor protects.